Niche marketing is what we go through in this episode with Chris. What does it mean? What is it? Seems to be used a lot in the marketing community. Let's talk about some examples that you can use with your real estate business, and we dive into some really practical, good stuff. Hope it helps. Welcome to Rethink Real Estate. My name is Ben Brady, and this is a real estate podcast aimed to deliver sales strategies, marketing tips, and business insights from industry experts and myself to build a listing-focused business for the future. Let's get into it. Chris, what's niche?
What's niche?
Yeah, what is it like? What does it actually mean?
Well, it's not quiche. Like that would be like a food.
Yes,
Like,
let's ChatGPT this.
you're gonna ask ChatGPT what niche is.
Yeah,
Niche is focusing in a marketing sense. Niche is getting hyper specific about one demographic or one location or one kind of variable that you're trying to target. So that's how I would always describe niche.
How do I spell niche?
NICHE, but it's got a little like I don't know what you call that thing, like a little
yeah. I see.
Little zest on the top of the E.
Explain niche marketing is what I'm asking ChatGPT right now.
Perfect.
I think that there's because like it gets thrown out there all the time. Like we're boutique. Is it the same thing? Not really.
I mean, I guess boutique could have a lot of different. It's got similarities, right? Like a boutique's focusing on one little area. Boutique's trying to hone into one little piece of demographic in the entire United States.
Trying to say that it's a boutique field, so that ultimately you're getting better service, or it's a smaller company.
Yeah, I would say niche. Where I think of niche is you are focusing on one subsegment of your entire marketplace. So that's how I would describe it. So if you think about my marketplace specifically of Gig Harbor, I would be focusing on specific people in there, like, the first time home buyers that are moving in there, the retirees and empty nesters that are trying to move out of there. Yep. I'm looking at the military families because there's two giant large bases around there. So I'm looking at people like that, young families moving into the area. So ones that want to be next to certain schools or certain parks or sports activities. So that's where I look at niche from a marketing sense in real estate, is trying to find the key demographics that matter to me and my business.
So the example that ChatGPT gives is niche marketing is a strategy that focuses on targeted and specific, well-defined segments. So that's exactly what you said, of a large market.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
So well-defined segments of a large market. So then it gives like specific examples. A real estate agent, believe it or not, probably because it knows I'm in real estate. A real estate agent specializes only in selling tiny homes. Yeah. I'd be like, how does that anyway?
You had someone on the podcast who built tiny homes and they sold them, and that was their niche, and that was what they focused on and everything like that. It's hard, and I want to focus on this because some people in the listeners might be in small markets already. It's hard to get niche in a low population density area. So like, think about that. Like if you're in all of Atlanta or all of Chicago or all of New York, you have so many people, and you can whittle that down because say you're in New York, and Manhattan, you don't want to be marketing to 8 million people. Like that's a lot of people. So that's where getting niche gets perfect for you. Can
we just get specific on this though? Because I think that this is another thing that people could fall in the trap of. We're not saying like a good example. Let's say I'm in Gig Harbor. Yep. Water is a primary thing. If we made it specific about water views and water properties, right? And I really marketed to the niche of water views and waterfront properties.
Yep.
Okay. It doesn't mean I don't sell everything else. It just means that my marketing is targeted and isolated to that, so that ultimately that brand becomes more of a reality of what I do, right?
Well, yes. And what I want to emphasize on this, and kind of why this would make sense as a topic, is people don't search in broad terms. And that's where niche marketing wins in today's day and age. Is this, there are going to be people who just type in Gig Harbor homes for sale. Like that's going to be a giant blanket. But then once you do that and they start whittling down their criteria and their wants and their needs and everything like that, or they're selling certain properties, they're going to type in other things that go to those properties. So it's going to be like, say we're talking about the military people again in the area, because we got a giant Navy base above us, and we have a Joint Base Lewis McChord, which is one of the largest military bases in the United States, just outside of Gig Harbor. And so there are people that move into this area because they want a nice family place and everything like that. those military families need a lot of information on how to buy for the first time, or how to, why Gig Harbor makes sense for a budding military community or something like that. So people start searching when they're in the military, and they start, getting information that they're going to be moving here, and they want more information on the area. So if you cater your information towards those military families, you're now all of a sudden going to quickly become the military expert of Gig Harbor, for those families looking to buy or sell in this area. And so that's where being niche wins on search terms, because those people are going to add in their military at some point inside of their search parameters online. And if they do that and you have a video on that and it shows up first, you're going to start winning at that point. That's where the niche comes into it. And you started off by going into ChatGPT. One of the things I love to do with ChatGPT is going in there and asking them what are the demographics that I should be focusing on in specific areas. So like, I just before this podcast, I typed in, I'm making real estate videos for the Gig Harbor, Washington area. I want to make sure they are targeted to specific demographics in the area who would buy or sell real estate. Some of those target demographics would be military families, first-time home buyers, people moving into the area, etc. Give me the 20 largest demographics that I should be focusing my content towards. And then it starts spitting out those 20, which is military families, first-time home buyers, remote tech professionals, empty nesters, retirees, luxury buyers, like you talked about, waterfront people, and trying to get into that niche, young families with children's, move-up buyers, out-of-state relocators, investors, boating and waterfront lifestyle properties, healthcare professionals, educators. So if you start talking to all this, now you all of a sudden start becoming the expert to those specific people. It's not saying that you have to only dive into those, but if you're say you create a Gig Harbor market update video once a month, and then you start drilling that video down every week to those specific demographics, those 20, that gives you now 20 weeks worth of content. You do that twice a year for each demographic. Now you have 2 videos per military person, or 2 per, luxury buyers per year. And you have your real estate market update, one going out once a month for Gig Harbor. You're going to start showing up a lot more when it comes to Gig Harbor, but then you're also going to start going into their specific niche criteria, and it's going to start feeling like your marketing's talking specifically to that individual, and that you start to build authority with them before you even talk to them.
So another niche that like sort of pops to mind, if we were actually going to go through the process of using our auction business, is that you could actually put your niche in. Forget auction for a moment, but you probably would market it that, hey, we sell homes that have been difficult to sell, like in the sense of that, like homes that have been on the marketplace previously. We came in, we used a different method of sale, and we did it as an auction. That speaks to people when their home have been on the marketplace for a long period of time. They're probably online, they're searching for results, they're looking at other property on the marketplace, everything. But I do want to draw back to something, because it feels like you could get lost in the topics trying to be too niche in everything. So you just rattled off a full list of different professionals and whatever it may be, trying to cater to absolutely every one of those. Does that dilute the effectiveness of it? How would you do that as well? Like, because you're trying to do the same videos or whatever it may be, like again, it's very easy to do, but like, what would you do? Like, you open up a YouTube channel, you open up a search criteria, like, I don't know, you do Google AdWords, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So so you could do all of those, but I would say the number one thing that I would focus on in today would be putting a YouTube channel around this, because then you would then have those topics specifically for those, and then it shows up pretty easily in search. Now, if you're not comfortable being on camera or anything like that, that's where even blog posts around this certain areas will drive traffic to your website. That's where voiceover videos, where you're just showing a property and then you're talking about it throughout the property. You're doing little bullet points on the screen. And you can put those in shorts. So that there's multiple different avenues on the ways to go after this. But like you said, you don't want to be catering to everybody. And that's where I think it's your interests start lying where your business lies. Like if you're a veteran and you're trying to help veterans, buy and sell, like that's where your niche is going to lie in, just naturally. That's the people you're going to gravitate towards. That's the people you're going to have the most commonality with. That's where it just starts becoming a little bit better from that standpoint.
Can you like, what's that website again where you can find out what the most search things are within a particular area? Like, should you do that?
Yeah, so you could use Google Keyword Tools. So you can go into Google Keyword Tool and you can say, what's being searched in this area. But that's where I think a lot of the stuff again, if you're in Gig Harbor, you're not going to get the search volume that you need to be able to record anything valuable out of that
Right.
tool.
Right.
If you're talking about Seattle, or you're talking about, San Diego, or our bigger cities, you can easily use one of those tools at that point. But if you're in a small little town and you're trying to do stuff like that, it's going to be a little hard. That's where you just have to know the niches around here. So like I know
the niche might be a little bit more broad when like for Gig Harbor, you're probably dealing with a lot of people that are coming out of California or like
100%.
you know what I mean? Like, so it's probably
Yeah.
a bit more of a broader thing, like moving here from out of state. These
Yeah.
are the things that you need to understand about Gig Harbor, and like, and then you do a thing on schools, you do a thing on whatever, like all of those,
And it could be as simple as, we know there's a lot of people moving into the Pacific Northwest from California specifically. Like Bend, Oregon has the same thing. And, all these people in the Pacific Northwest, all the communities are getting flooded by people from California. So it could be things here are the top 10 things you need to know when moving from California to Gig Harbor, Bend, Oregon, XYZ. And at that point, then you're talking about everything from, like, specifically here, you're talking about, income tax, and you're talking about our property taxes are higher and stuff like that. And then, what you're looking for certain, because California always has sunshine. Well, Pacific Northwest, you're actually looking for where your sunshine lies out and throughout the day, because certain days of certain parts of the day are hotter and stuff like that. So you need to actually understand that when you're buying a home, is it west facing, east facing? Like, you're actually looking for those things. While in California, it's a little bit secondary when you're thinking.
That's actually that's a really good point though. Like because again we're focusing on the buyer side of things. Like I've spoken about it on the podcast before. Is that how unique the experience was of buying something in New York and things that you'd never think about. At all. Had no idea. Like, our condo, I wanted a forward-facing one that was facing the street, and the guy's like, absolutely not. You're an idiot if you buy something on the front because of how noisy it is. You need to buy something at the back. Whilst you might not have a spectacular view, there might not be a great deal of light. Something being quiet supersedes the light coming in the window. So, exactly. It's a good topic, but like we're very buyer-centric at the moment, Chris. I like the other side of it is getting niche about the properties locally as well. Like you could probably do videos, like do a video or a short or a whatever it's called, like a voiceover video with the photos of a property. Let's say that a waterfront property in Gig Harbor, just sold. You could probably do a quick little short. Is that, hey, this property at 123 Smith Street just closed for $1.6 million on the water. It was a this was all of the features about the property. It was on the marketplace for this long. It had a price reduction, so on and so forth. And you could probably make that sort of the specialty of the properties. This one was another view property, another water and then like adding like the tagline in is like, would you do something like Ben Brady, your waterfront expert, or like stuff like that?
I wouldn't dive into like Ben Brady, your waterfront expert. I would keep that part a little bit more generalized. Like just from my sense, like I feel like it starts to pigeonhole you a little bit because there is only so much waterfront property and all that stuff. Like I would say I'm your Gig Harbor expert, or I'm your Pacific Northwest real estate agent, whatever. However broad you want to get to that, like I don't really care about the taglines. This is more from a just searchability on specific content pieces. But that's where I would start diving into why. Like there's one thing that I think is very important when you shoot videos is the video should always act like you're already their agent and you're just giving them information. So that's kind of the fake it till you make it type of thing, where if I'm already giving you all this information and I'm already pretending I'm your realtor online, then you're going to most likely choose me when it comes to list or sell your home at that point. The second part of that is I would then start giving tips of like why people are selling right now, like why people are selling their, Gig Harbor waterfront properties in spring of 2025, like why people are looking to downsize right now versus waiting a year to do it. So I would start getting into those niches when it comes to selling. Or I would look at it as like, why people are moving out of this area, capital, like, taking their interest and taking their, their gains and moving out of state. Like, and so that's where I would start getting into those information, because then that starts to help your seller niches at that point.
Well, it's a fascinating topic to think about a niche, like, because I think that it is a word that's used very often, like boutique, and people actually have no idea what ultimately it means, and that's the thing about this is that being able to, like, the thing that I think that is interesting about it is that when you find people within that niche, I think they feel a lot more comfortable with you because they believe that you are an expert in it. There's a little bit more loyalty to the clientele within that space. But the thing that I would be really focused on is making sure that you don't build too much of a buyer-centric business.
Yeah.
I think you've got to make sure it's everything. And I think that you've got to pick your niche locally from, if you're an owner in the area, you're going to find that or look at that, but also then also from an inbound buyer perspective as well.
That's where I think too, like improvements, like home improvement tips and stuff like that come into, play a lot too when it comes to your niches. Like people that are, maybe they're 3 to 5, 10 years away from actually selling, but you're saying, here are the top 5 home improvements that actually boost your value of your home in Gig Harbor, Washington. Like,
yeah, like, and maybe you could do that more by examples, mate. Like, I love the
exactly.
idea. I love the idea of, hey, just so you know that 38 Smith Street within Gig Harbor sold with multiple offers on it. Here's a few reasons I think why for your next renovation project, or the things that you need to think about with your properties when you're buying them. Those type of things, and I think that could be good. The other thing that I think that everybody needs to understand as well is that not only niche marketing doesn't only apply to the online presence. I think that it's also, let's say that you're doing 100%. An open house. Say that I'm doing an open house for you and Danielle at your place, and you meet 5 or 6 buyers. They're coming in from out of area. Hey guys, do you know what school districts are and whatever? Would you mind if I text you? It's on my YouTube channel. There's a section saying for out of town buyers, it goes through school districts, it goes through local restaurants, it goes through everything. I'll shoot that over to you just so you've got that information.
The other thing, and I want to go back onto what you were saying of certain properties that are on the market and everything like that, and why they've sold and why they haven't sold. One of the cool things in our area, or I mean, not cool, but one of the things we're going through right now is one of our neighbors is actually selling right now. They took their entire yard out, their backyard out, and they put a basketball court in it, and it's still on the market. It's just sitting on the market. And then our other neighbor is currently...
That could be good. That could be good. Yeah. Why it's not selling.
Yeah. Why it's not selling. Well, they took all their real estate out of their backyard and they put a sport court in. And, they're the only ones in the entire neighborhood who have done that. Now there's someone, our other neighbor is considering, they're not considering selling now, but they have kind of hesitated and stopped their plans on putting a pool in their backyard. And it's kind of the same thing. They would be the only ones in the entire neighborhood with a pool in the backyard. And so they don't know if it's going to hurt or help their value. And so just giving that information out there where it's, should little renovations that.
Is a pool a good thing within the Northwest? Well, let's face it, folks, you can only use it for 5 months of the year.
Exactly.
And then it becomes an absolute burden. Yeah, that's right. But then it's also, hey, it's also one of those things as well. Hey, why is this property not selling? It's like you could put like a video up in the background as it's like sort of your blurred background, or you could do a voiceover. Why is this property not selling? It's selling because there's a full basketball court in the backyard. Most people think, well, that's great, I don't have to maintain it. But technically, you don't have to maintain your grass and your landscaping in the Northwest for months anyway.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, yeah. And you have to have kids that want to utilize the basketball court and everything like that. And the reason why they put it in them is they have 3 boys, teenage boys who play basketball. And so it makes perfect sense for that one family, but it doesn't make sense for every family. And so you are whittling down your buyer market from that standpoint. And most sellers don't think about that when they're doing those home renovations and stuff like that. Now that's more of a larger renovation. That's more of a public facing renovation, but little things of like, should I remodel my bathroom or something like that to improve my home's value? Like little things like that still do have some kind of benefit
that's
to
the
videos
gold,
online.
That's the gold here, mate. Like, if you think about that, I think doing a series of, hey, this property's been on the marketplace this long. Why has it been on the marketplace this long? Let's go through. If I was the agent, I'd probably be doing this, and advising this, and this. Now,
you might burn your relationships with the other agents in the area.
Yeah, which again, I don't care about, but maybe some others might. But then, and it's sort of like, do you burn the relationship of the opportunity in the future if it goes expired? Maybe, but still, like it's, like I don't think that's a big deal because they're probably moving anyway. Like I don't know.
I don't think honestly, I don't think as long as you're not listing like exact addresses or something like that. I mean, you can obviously, but I don't think you would be burning it if the property went expired either. I think they would look at the video, they'd find the video, the sellers would see the video and be like, oh, like maybe our agent didn't talk to us about this, and then maybe you are the number one pick once that property does go expired, or if it does go expired.
Yeah, no, indeed. Well, mate, very curious, good topic. I think it's something for people to think about and some good tangible things for them to take away and put into action. Thanks as always, mate.
I think if you're not going niche in your marketing to try and dive down a little bit more, you're kind of trying to shoot a shotgun too wide. And I just don't think you're going to have success when it comes to 2025 online videos or online content at all. So I think that was kind of my main emphasis of this is if you can try to get a little bit focused on your marketing, you're going to have a lot more success. I would say the broader your marketing is, the more views you're going to get. But the narrower your marketing is, the more business you're going to get. So it just
that's good.
depends
That's
on
good.
what you want. Do you want views? Cool. If you want to feel like, likes and views are your bread and butter, and that's what's going to put food on your table, that's one thing. But I would say in conjunction to that, you want business coming in the door. And I think that's where if you get hyper specific, you're going to get more leads.
Niche. It sounds
Niche.
good. Yeah. It sounds like it's nice to say. It's a fun word to say.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like Fernando.
What was the other one? Hysterical. I love that one. It's
There
hysterical. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
So about 75% of our audience hasn't liked, followed, or subscribed to our podcast. It would mean the world to us, and it would help this podcast more than you know to expand our reach if you were to like, follow, or subscribe on any of the platforms that you're watching or listening on. Thanks again.